Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to RC Flights. Okay, settle down. I'm glad you're excited to be here. We've got a really good episode for you today. Once again, here on RC Flights, where we feature the most exciting RC aviation videos on YouTube. Everything from basic and beginner aircraft like the Carbon Cub S2 or the Blade S70 indoor helicopter, stepping things up a notch like the Ohio model products, Bighorn, which I'll tell you is a real Hornet. It's a ton of fun to fly. It's a Cubbish aircraft, but very fast and very maneuverable, to intermediate helicopters like the Blade Fusion 180, the Blade Fusion 360. Of course, these are RTF kits. They're ready to fly, kind of something you can step right into. Going to the intermediate level with aircraft like the Great Plains Avistar, which did 100 miles an hour in its maiden flight. A Line T-Rex series of helicopters. We've got the 300. We've got the 500. Of course, these are helicopters that you have to build from a kit. The 650, which is a behemoth 12S monster, which is just an awesome helicopter. And of course, the absolutely gorgeous 550 that my wonderful wife recently gave me for my 40th birthday. And what a super helicopter that is. Right on up to the pinnacle of helicopters. I love my Synergies. I'll tell you, if you haven't experienced a Synergy helicopter, they are absolutely top notch. But you're not here for that. So the first thing I have to do is throw a coin in the Talking About RC Helicopters When No One Asked jar. And then we'll get to what you guys are here for, which is ultra high definition video, which is a primary part of the channel, as well as GPS telemetry overlay data. Now, the idea for the channel is that we can capture these aircraft's capabilities, like with the airplane's minimum stall speeds, average flight speeds, and of course, max flight speeds are always good to see. There's quite a variance in aircraft, so I was hoping with the channel we can really capture those capabilities to give people an idea of what they can do. Now, with the telemetry overlay stuff, there's been some challenges along the way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the video into two parts. So part one, we're going to talk about the equipment that you need and the basic process. And then part two of the video is where we're going to get to the real gold. And that is like the lessons that I've learned along the way, the specifics of the projects, specifics of the process, and what exactly you're going to need to do to get telemetry overlay up and running for you. All right, welcome back to episode 97. Settle down. Hey, keep it classy. All right, so we've got your camera. What you're going to need is GoPro Hero 5 through 9, Hero Black. Has GPS capabilities along with Silver and the Fusion. So that's the key to this, is the capabilities, the GPS capabilities. And let's jump into setting up the camera. So of course, first you turn the camera on, swipe the screen down, and that brings up the next menu, which is this. You want to go ahead and tap Preferences, and that is going to bring up this menu, which you want to swipe up to go down the menu until you get to Regional, and then tap the little square right there at Regional, and that's going to bring it up. Number one is GPS, and go ahead and turn that on. Now you'll notice on the home menu you now have a GPS icon. So your camera's all set up. So next you need a mount. There's tons of GoPro mounts. I don't want to get hung up on it. But I use these mounts here for my helicopters, which are produced by Brian Birdsong. If you're interested in getting your hands on one, just instant message him, Brian L. Birdsong, at Facebook. They are really terrific mounts that he custom makes. Brian's a great guy. Of course, gotta have one for the Synergy. Did I mention I love Synergy helicopters? Oh man, they're sweet. And now I gotta throw a coin in the Talking About RC Helicopters jar when no one asked, because you don't care. So now you've got your camera, you've got your mount. It's time to go out and do the best part, do some shooting. Wow. Loop. Oh, I still looping with no problem. Oh yeah, looping with no problem. That's full throttle. Nope. We'll coast. Quite a bit. Perception of it. Swinging it too low to the ground or something. All right, so you got some exciting footage. You're all excited. You come home, you take your SD chip out of your camera, put it in your computer, load the files into a file is the way I like to do it. The program, open up GoPro Quick. It will also see those files and load them in if you're using Quick. So then just pick a file, double click on it, go down to Adjust Gauges and click there. And that brings this up, and you can turn your GPS gauges on. Houston, we have a problem. So this is where the problems kind of started. Was I tested it, and then I went out and shot flights, and it worked at the house. But then after I shot a couple of flights, I came home, no GPS data. This was not a good time. So I struggled for a couple of months trying to get it to work. It worked at home, and then it wouldn't work at the field, or it worked sporadically. Then I found Telemetry Overlay. Downloaded that program. You open it up. You get Load Video Files button. Just one button. You click the button. You pick a file from one of the videos that you transfer to your computer. The program scans the file. It's pretty automated. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple program. There's all of your GPS widgets on the screen. You can edit them, move them around. I just moved the GPS path over to the left. And next we'll click on the speedometer and we'll move that to the right. And then I'll go to the editing field and I will increase the size. So you can edit the widgets and make them look however you want, and then go to export. So you click the export button and then that comes up. Now, one thing, you want to increase your video quality. That's something that's preset to 6. You want to raise it all the way if you want that full quality. Then you're going to go ahead and click the box for the file and pick the file where you want the videos to go. And then you click the export button the second time, the other export button, and then it renders your video. And then you have your videos. I like to just, pre-name the files, and then I just put a T in for telemetry so that I know that the telemetry is in there. So then next, after you get your files, you want to go to your video editing program. You want to click import, and I'm using Filmora, but you don't have to. You can use whatever program. Import. After import, pick your files, click open. It loads your files into Filmora, and then you do your editing. Now, there's a lot of video editing, tutorials out there. This is not a video editing tutorial. You get everything the way you want it. You click export. This box comes up. You name your video, and you pick a destination, and then you hit render, and you have a video. Congratulations, that is the process. That's how the process works. And now you have your telemetry overlaid video ready to go to do whatever you do with your videos. You can put them on YouTube, or you can put them wherever you want to upload them to. So that is the basic process. Again, this information is out there and it's nothing crazy, but in part 2 of this video, we're going to talk about some more of the challenges along the way, because like everything else in life, the devil is in the details. But you've got the process now. You know what you need. So without further ado, let's jump right into part 2 here and find out what are the specifics of making this happen. All right, welcome to part 2 of episode 97. Getting things rolling here. Hey, keep it classy, folks. Keep it classy. So before you launch into recording, you got to start making some decisions. What are you going to shoot in? The camera will do 4K if you've got the GoPro 8, and I'm just going to go through, my system and what I do. But to give you some idea on some things that decision means is like, so 1080p is 4 times smaller in storage space, and 480p is even smaller than that. So by going 4K, you're going to increase your storage space requirements, and you're also going to, increase the amount of data that is you are recording, and that is going to put more stress on your computer when you're processing the files. It's going to make the rendering process take longer. It's going to make the creation of the GPS overlay videos take longer. And so, of course, I record in 4K. And I do. I record in 4K. But I'm just trying to give you a heads up that it's going to make roughly 1 gig per minute. And then it's going to extend all your rendering times. And it could push like your average i5 laptop right to its limits and make things take a while. I have an i7, so the number estimates for this video will be based on that. Now, this is just to show you the direction things are going is, now this resolution comparison chart goes all the way up to 8K. And I think in the future, resolution is going to get higher and higher. So by shooting as high as you can, keeps your video relevant. The next thing you're going to have to do is decide what size SD cards to get for your cameras. And if you're going to be shooting in 4K, a gig a minute takes about a gig. So I like to do 30-minute shoots, and I find that with prepping the cameras and warming them up to read the telemetry data, and then a little post-session time, a half hour of shooting action winds up with an hour of video. And I've got my SD card set up, so just in case I don't have time to offload it onto my computer, I can do 2 shoots. So for me, 128 gigs is the way to go for an SD chip. And then the one that's in the camera that I wear on myself when I'm shooting, I go all the way up to 256 because a lot of times I record, pretty much all of my flying, and that's pretty much my crash cam. And that way, at least if I put in a 600 or something, I got a good crash video out of it. So that one I run at 256. So after you get the right size SD chip picked out, the next thing you got to look at is some things. It's called the bus mark, and that is, what level of speed processing the chip is capable of. That tells us the bus speed. And you want a fast bus. You definitely want a speedy bus. There is no bus stop here in this. This is going to determine the speed. Now, SDXC1 is what's readily available right now. And so all the speed estimates in this video are going to be based on SDXC1. I would assume that somewhere soon SDXC2 will be available, and that is faster. And I have looked high and low in all of the dark places of the internet for SDHC Express. I can't find it anywhere, so maybe that's just something that'll be more readily in the future. For me, I went with these SD SanDisk Streams. They're 128 gigs. That's what I was looking for, and they're 160 megabytes of processing speed. So the long story short is, when you go to buy an SD chip, make sure it's the right size for the type of shooting and the quality of shooting that you're doing. And I would say look at the quality of the speed, the transfer speed, and get the fastest one that's available to you. So for the SD chips that I'm using, with this transfer rate, if I'm looking to transfer 1 hour worth of recording, it's going to take approximately a half hour. And then if I do a 3-camera shoot, then, the way my computer is set up, I can only do 1 SD chip at a time, but I got to get some more parts so that I can do 3 at a time. So it would take an hour and a half to transfer the data if you have 3 different SD, a 3-camera shoot, and you only have 1 SD chip in your computer. So I'm just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together and what you can expect and how long it can take. The other thing, just letting you know, is no matter how fast your computer is, this transfer is based on the SDXC1. So it's based on the speed of the chip. A faster computer is not going to help you out. Now, take it easy, take it easy. It's not my fault. I don't make the stuff. So settle down. Hey, keep it classy. Oh, man, that's not classy at all. Somebody open a window. So now we start our shooting. Turn your camera on. Outside, you see no GPS data displayed. And then about a minute later, we've got our GPS indicator comes on, and we've got our, it's reading GPS data outside. And now you can do your recording, your video, however you want, and it is capturing the GPS data inside of the camera. Now, the GPS satellites are up above, and you want that camera oriented so that you have as best exposure to the sky as possible. So like on this Bighorn here, I've got the camera mounted up under the airplane. Now, I'm right at the break point because you can see in this video here, it's getting GPS data, but watch what happens when I come through this turn and I go to full throttle. So it's picking up GPS data, everything's going good. I go to full throttle and it drops off. So obviously it wasn't getting good reception at that moment. And then you'll see it picks right back up and keeps going. And that's where the telemetry overlay program works very well. And my theory is that that's what the GoPro Quick program struggles with, is when you have gaps in the data like that. Because my short videos right near my house, it seems to work. So you want to orient your camera as exposed to the sky as possible. Here's a clip of what happens when you have a gap in the data. Now here is my Blade 500 3D flying with its video data put through GoPro Quick on my desktop, and it works. But this is a short video, it's not very long, and there's no interferences in the GPS data. It's a cloudy day. I find that on cloudy days the system tends to work a little better. But at my flying field, it wasn't working very well. So little pro tip, if you're using multiple GoPro cameras, turn on voice control, and then you can just say, GoPro, start recording, and however many cameras will just start recording right then. So now you've done your video recording, you put your SD chip into your micro SD chip into the reader. Again, an hour takes about 30 minutes to transfer. You get them transferred into a folder. Now, as many of you GoPro users already know, it splits the videos into blocks. If you're doing 4K, they're about 5-minute blocks. So for 1080p, they're about 7.5 minutes. For 480, I believe they're about 11 minutes. So if I'm doing like a how-to video, how to repair something, or a build video, I'll just shoot it in 1080 because it's a lot easier on the computer and all the times are cut in half. But so the first thing you want to do after you get them all loaded, name them, and then bring them into the telemetry overlay program if you're shooting off the camera. And importing into the telemetry overlay program is not bad. It takes about 2 minutes to load, so that's good. It's not too bad at all. Now, rendering is a different story. So a 5-minute 4K video to render takes 33 minutes. So for an hour of shooting, it's going to take 3 hours to overlay all of your GPS data that is embedded into the video onto the screen. Hey, don't take it out on me. I don't make the stuff. Don't make me turn the dog loose on you. He'll bite your ankle. You laugh now till you get your ankle bit. So after you got your videos in your folder and all ready to go, you need to import them into a video editing software so you can get them all lined up, all these bits and pieces lined up into one continuous video. I use Filmora 9. I'm sure there's tons of editorials out there on how to use it. I could say that Wondershare has a number of programs. From more, 9 is one of the more basic ones. Buy the program, spend a little bit of time with it, and I think you'll be able to make your way through it. I mostly use like the zoom functions and stuff like that. So exporting out of that once the project is done takes about a half hour. The other thing to be aware of is that the program creates what are called proxy files. And so for 3 projects here, there's 20 gigs of proxy files. And that brings me to our last topic pretty much, which is computer notes. And then this one has been another one of those things that was a big learning lesson for me. When I started this process, I had a very typical average home computer laptop with an i5 in it. And I'll tell you, it really struggled with the video editing software. And even this computer with the i7 will bog down at times. So now I upgraded to a laptop with an i7, 32 gigs of RAM, and 1 terabyte of SSD because there's a lot of file space if you're gonna shoot in 4K. And the video editing process still bogs down a little bit. And doing 6 GPS renders in a row, the computer has shut down. So even with an i7 with 32 gigs of RAM, the computer is still struggling. When I talked to the computer builder about this and a computer, he recommended doing a desktop, and that would be the best way to go. But it's just not in the cards for me with in my home and then traveling for work. Ideally, an i9 would be the way to go. Now there's a substantial price increase. And your average i9, it's not even a high-end laptop, is about $3,000. So those are my computer notes there, and i7 will get the job done. This is my video kit summary. So this is my kit and what it costs. The laptop, again, with the i7 was $1,200 with 32 gigs of RAM. And then I've got the 3 cameras, the 3 SD chips. I keep a backup chip in my little video shooting bag. That's a good thing to have in case you leave one of the chips in the reader on your computer, and the batteries, and the GPS software, and the video editing software. Kit total $2,500. So that's what it cost me start to finish to be able to do this. Now this is project time summary. Again, using the i7 computer. Transferring onto computer takes about an hour and a half from the SD chip if you're doing them one at a time. Now, if I could do 3 ports, I could cut it down to a half hour. So that is the way to go. I'll probably make that improvement very soon. So next, the GPS overlay process for an hour worth of video. This is where it really takes a lot of time, is 3 hours. And that's why that i9 would be nice. That i9 would cut down that 3 hours. I'm thinking to about an hour or maybe 45 minutes. But with the i7, that's taking me about 3 hours. Now, Filmora, on my average project, I'm spending about 8 hours doing editing. And that's me. I do a lot of zoom. I am really picky about the volumes. You have to turn down the volume on the helicopters. On the airplanes, the volume's not too bad, but on the helicopters, you definitely have to cut the volume back. And then you've got the upload time. Once you've exported out of Filmora, that process is pretty quick. Somehow it takes about half the time of the video length. So if it's a 15-minute video, it can be done in like 7 minutes. So that part is pretty quick, even with the i7. Now, uploading is like average. I usually average in about 3 hours with your average internet signal. That's going to depend on your internet signal, your router, and i9 is not going to change that. So it's average about 2 hours. The other day, my last video was 20 minutes, took 3 hours. And the last thing that takes up some time is the YouTube processing. And what I mean here is if you're doing 4K videos, when you upload a video, it might be available, but it'll be available in low quality. So in the past, like I would post it and people would watch and say like, doesn't look like 4K to me. Well, that's because it takes a couple hours for YouTube to process that video quality. So by the time you upload and wait for it to process in 4K, that takes about 5.5 hours. So total average production time for, say, a 15 to 20 minute video on average is about 20 hours. And again, I'm not a video editor, and I'm not a computer programmer. I would say, average set of skills on the computer and nothing with video editing. So, maybe somebody with a little more experience could get this done a little bit faster. But thanks for coming by. Thanks for checking out the channel. Don't forget to check out the other videos, the real channel stuff with, the 4K telemetry flights. We've got some absolutely amazing helicopters, some really cool airplanes. So stop on by the channel, check it out. Check the comments box. I'm sure somewhere along the line, somebody's going to have some kind of corrections or improvements I could have made to the video. And you know what? If I think that they're productive to people and helpful, I'll put them in the comments. So check out the comments box. There could be a little area in there that says corrections, and I'll add anything that, people throw into that spot that can maybe help you with the process. Thanks again for coming by. We'll see you next time on RC Flights.